Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Financial Coaches Podcast. I'm Maria Casillas, joined here by my incredible co-host, Cody Sizemore. We are going to jump into a conversation today that also came from our meetup. And as Cody mentioned, these are some of the things that people are dying to know. This particular issue is one that we both said, well, we don't really have a lot of success with some of this. So should we talk about it? And we decided, yes, we do want to talk about it, because if we're not having a ton of success with it, we also want to make sure that you know that and that you're not, feeling upset about that if you don't. Also, we want to give you an opportunity to share with us your successes around this topic, which we'll get to in just a second, I promise. Because if you are having success, we don't want our experience to cloud the potential for someone else's. So please do share those with us. A great place for you to do that will be in the Facebook group. It's the Financial Coaches Community by New Money Habits, and it's free to join. We'd love to have you there, so you can just kind of chat things up with us, ask us questions, and also share with us your wins. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are ready for this amazing conversation. And without further ado, I'm going to welcome Cody into our conversation today. How you doing today, Cody?
I'm great. Great. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I also am doing really well. Like, we were just talking earlier about how our ADHD brains kind of get us involved in a bajillion different things, and how sometimes it can be hard to focus on the right thing. But lately, I feel like I've actually been focusing on the important things. And so I think with coming up into this very busy season that's like right on our doorstep right now, I think it's good that I'm able to kind of focus a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I'm doing really well.
Good. Good. Happy to hear that.
Yeah. So this conversation that we're going to have, I've kind of set it up, but I haven't told anyone what it actually is. And I'll just let you know the question that was posed to us was how to talk to financial professionals, other financial professionals. That might be like financial advisors, maybe real estate agents, any other people who are kind of in the field of finance in some way, shape, or form, and how to really communicate our shared value. So that's the overall arcing topic. And we can certainly take it in a couple directions, talk about what we've tried before, what experiences we've had, or we can just go straight to how to communicate value. Either way is fine with me. What says you, sir?
I think that we start with how to communicate that value first, and
Okay.
give the opportunity of this to have like the best chance. Um and then from there we can kind of talk about what our experience is and how
Perfect.
things have kind of gone. So,
That's perfect. I love it. Okay. So, with regards to the value, I'm going to share just a quick story. This came up just a few days ago, actually. And I love how opportunities just present themselves when. When they're most needed. I have mentioned at the top of this that I have my hands in lots of different things, and sometimes it's difficult to decide what to focus on. Well, one of the things that, as if you've been a longtime listener, you know that I homeschool my two younger kids, and I am part of a couple of communities in that homeschool arena. So, at one of the communities, one of the things we need to do is introduce ourselves, let them know as a family what it is that we work on. And our family introduction was just a couple of weeks ago. And of course, I mentioned that I'm a financial coach, that I do this podcast with Cody, and someone asked a question about what it is that really means. And so I was able to give just like a 30-second response to that.
mhm.
And that was it. Like, I didn't think anything of it. Well, the following week, which was just last week, one of the moms had her husband in the community, and she said, "Oh, I want you to meet my husband. He's a financial advisor." And so it gave me the opportunity to have just a very off the cuff conversation with him, and be able to just kind of share with him what it is exactly that I do and what value that might bring to some of his clients. So Um, I just wanted to share that because I think that if we realize that there are opportunities all around us, if we're open to those and we're ready to have those discussions, that's going to be really important. So you have to be able to know what value do you bring to these individuals. And so I'm just going to ask you real quick, Cody, what do you think? What is something that we bring of value to, let's just say the financial advisor? We'll start there, and if there's a couple others that you want to touch on, we can. But the financial advisor is specifically the one I want to start with because we always get confused with those people. Like the people like,
Mm.
oh, you're a
Yeah.
financial advisor too. No, 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 I'm not. But
Yep.
that's good that we're not because there's things that we can do that is not in the purview of most financial advisors. So, what
Mhm.
is one of those things?
So I think there's several
Hmm.
actually. Um,
Yep.
but the first one that comes to mind is that like as long as a financial advisor is smart and he or she has the the heart of, hey, I want to do what's best for this person versus what's best for me. There is sometimes where like you can recognize that, hey, maybe you start a conversation with someone and they're just not ready to make investments quite yet. Maybe because their income is down, maybe because they have a bunch of debt that's weighing over their heads. So helping them get to the point to where they can invest and invest wisely would be one thing that we can help
Hmm.
with.
The
Um,
most obvious one.
yeah, the most obvious
Yep.
one, right? I think another one would also just be about like just general money management. So with, the financial advisors, like what they usually help with are investments and insurances for the most part, right?
Hmm.
Um, but budgeting, not really. Maybe some, but not like a in the trenches. I'm going to hold your hand and teach you and hold you accountable kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Which so that's something that we can help with as well, which obviously then helps that person be able to make these investments either quicker or easier, one of the two. And I think another one would be their relationship with money, because oftentimes there's a lot of people out there who are nervous to put money into the stock market or to put money into any type of investment if they don't know what it is, how it works, and even, maybe they have like a scarcity mindset or, anything like that. So helping people kind of like get educated on it, number one, but then number two, working through the mindsets and the emotions around making some form of an investment is also something that we can help with as well.
Yeah. It's almost as if you were in the room with me when I was talking to this individual, a couple of things that you just brought up.
Oh,
One
really?
thing that, yeah, it's very, I mean, it's not super surprising because we see this very often,
Hmm.
but one thing that he brought up, and actually his wife brought it up, that I'm guessing because they must talk. So she was saying that she sees a lot of widows who are just like beside themselves
Yeah.
when their husband passes away, and they're not the ones who've been doing most of the booking, the books and stuff on the back end. And so she was bringing it up as more of a, I don't know, like day to day how to be in the budget, right? But what ended up coming out of this was really more along that scarcity mindset that you were talking about. So one example that this advisor shared was of a widow who she has like a lot of money, I guess, and she has a lot of it is totally liquid and away from her advisor, but she still insists that he send her like $5,000 every single month. And he's like, I just don't understand. Like, she's got all this money over here. Like, why would she want me to send $5,000 every month? And while I admittedly still don't know the full answer to that, it spurred a discussion about, is it something that she was just used to living on a certain amount, that she doesn't trust herself, she wants those guardrails put into place. Perhaps that's what it is. Perhaps it's that she doesn't trust him, and so she's like, I'm slowly taking out the $5,000 because I don't trust you in a way that I want to, that you're going to do what you need to with it, like it's going to go away. And so, or it could just be that her husband took care of all of it before, and so she's just grasping at all straws and doesn't really know. And we didn't we did not come to a conclusion necessarily, but it just created a good conversation around how to talk to her and kind of dig into some of that. So that was something that was, I think, super interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of value that we as coaches can bring to a financial advisor. Um, I don't know if a lot of them are aware of that though, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I think even just having the opportunity to like talk through that with these advisors, so that they're aware is important because, at the end of the day, like financial coaching has been around for a while now. I think it's just over the last maybe like 3 to 5 years started to get a little bit more common, a little bit more popular. So it's still
More
a relatively
recognizable.
new thing to not just regular people, but also people within the financial industry as well. So I think it's a
Yeah.
big part to just make sure that you communicate that kind of value over to them for sure.
Yeah, I think one thing that came up that was not, it was not expected in the relation and in the conversation, but it was definitely impactful. And I'm glad that I was able to sit and listen to what he said so that I could respond. Um, Somebody made the comment, it was either him or his wife, but whoever made it, the other one absolutely jumped on board and like, yes, that's a problem. And the problem was everybody knows what to do, but not everybody has the willpower or whatever. It was kind of along those lines.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of people believe that, right? It's like that's a very common thing that is said that, well, as a coach, what we can do is we can help hold people accountable and da 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 da. But what I suggested was I don't think everybody does know what to do. And I think that's actually a really common misconception that we have. And I
Yeah.
I think it's especially misconceived by people who are in the financial industry. And here's what I mean, and here's why. When we start doing something new, for example, you learn how to eat better, you learn how to do certain exercises for a certain thing, you learn a certain material, whether it is, a biology class that you're taking or something completely unrelated to anything we're talking about right now. The more that you learn that, the more that you're exposed to that, you start to go, or maybe it's like a new product that you've used, right? Or a new car that you've seen. You start to become more familiarized with something. And then we just naturally, as human beings, start to believe that everyone else also is that familiar with that thing. like I
Mhm.
must have been the last person in the world to not have heard of XYZ. And so now that I have heard of it, now everybody around me does. And I really believe that with finances, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We, in the teaching that I do with my kids, we talk a lot about the word grammar, and it's not like what are the parts of speech. It's more along the lines of tell me all the information that is necessary to understand this thing. And so when I say that we're not oftentimes given the grammar around finances, I think that that's part of the problem. We not just financial coaches, but also financial advisors and just people in general, they're like, well, of course everybody knows the difference between, simple interest and compound interest. And I dare say, no, they don't. Not everybody has been given the grammar around that. They don't know what compound interest versus simple interest even mean, let alone how it works and how to choose the advisor that's going to help you get those things. And so I'm kind of on a crusade right now to help people understand that, just because information is free and the good Lord knows that there is an abundance of information, too much so, but just because there's information out there, I really think right now that we don't even know how much of that information is accurate. I mean, I see videos online right now and I'm like, well, that seems odd. And then it's like, oh, that's AI. Like, it's so frustrating to me to not even know anymore what's real and what's not real. So even if there's an overabundance of information out there, if people are having a difficult time sifting through that information, I can pretty much guarantee you many people actually don't know what to do. And so that was something that was nuanced that came
I'll
out of
even
that
double down
conversation.
and I'll say even something as and from where we're sitting, being financial coaches,
Yeah.
we say something as quote unquote simple as
Hmm.
budgeting, right?
Yep. Yep.
So many people I talk to, they say, yeah, like I budget. And then I asked them like, well, what exactly do you do? And sometimes they'll send me their budget. Sometimes they'll tell me. And more often than not, what it is they're keeping track of their bills.
Yep.
So like their mortgage, their credit card payment, their personal loan payment, their car payment, their utilities, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And that's it.
Hmm.
But all of like the variable expenses, like groceries, gas, restaurants, like there's nothing there. So then they're confused. It's like, well, I'm tracking everything. I'm tracking my
Hmm.
expenses. I'm tracking my bills. Where's all my
Yeah.
money going? It's like, well, it's in the stuff that you're not tracking, kind of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah. They
And when
track
I
rather than
communicate that with
plan.
them, they're like, oh,
Hmm.
you know? And I'm like, so something as simple as that for us, we think
Yep.
it's like, well, yeah, it's a no brainer. But
Yep.
for someone who's like not interested in finances, never was taught finances, they're just living their lives trying to make things work as best as they can. It could be this massive like breakthrough for them. And we don't even know,
That's right. That's right.
right?
Yep. Yep. And so that really kind of becomes part of our jobs, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes part of the value that we offer to the financial advisor, or to a real estate agent or to whoever. This is something that, if we are willing to take that on, part of our value is that we give the grammar and the understanding to the client. We meet them where they are so that they can actually do what this individual is asking them to do, like the financial advisor, for example. Because if somebody's totally stuck in that mindset of scarcity and they're afraid of all of these things, then that's going to be something that, it's going to hold them back from doing any investing, whether they're financially ready for that or not, whether they're behaviorally ready for that or not. They might not be mentally ready for that, emotionally ready. And so that's really one of the things I think that we can express to these individuals, as part of what value we bring to the table for them.
Yeah. And really quickly, because I know we want to talk about our experience with this as well, which we will. But we've been really zeroed in on the financial advisors side of things, which I think
Hmm.
makes sense and I think it's fine. But I just want to briefly touch on a few other types of professionals as well. There's a
Yeah.
ton of different types of professionals that we could connect with and work with, but just a few low hanging fruit ones. One would be the financial advisor, which we already talked about. Another one would be like a tax person,
Hmm.
right? Another one might be a real estate
Insure. Hmm.
agent because maybe they're trying to buy a house. So there's a lot of different types of people, but just focus on like
Insurance.
those three. We already talked about the financial advisor, the tax person. Like as someone's doing their taxes, they see their finances, and it's like, hey, like you could very easily just start a conversation and say, hey, like what are your financial goals, blah blah blah. And if they're wanting to get out of debt, build their savings, get started with investing, even do some tax advantage investing kind of thing. That's something that they could refer us to. Uh, Real estate agents, obviously, they're working with people who want to buy a home, and much like the conversation we had earlier about, well, there's some people who aren't ready to invest. There's some people who aren't ready to buy a house. Now, they reach out to real estate agents because they're excited to buy a house, but then maybe their
Hmm.
debt to income ratio is too high, or maybe, their cash flow is too low, or whatever it might be. That can be something that that real estate agent can then reach out to us for. So there's a lot of things that we can do to help these people get more business. It's just a matter of helping them see that, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes, I agree. The other one I would throw in there is the insurance agents.
For sure. Yeah.
That's another professional that we can absolutely help, because there are I know that there are, ideas that, you only need one type of insurance, and so, be careful about who you send people to, but this I will share this one other thing with the individual who I just spoke with. He was saying that, he actually doesn't like annuities, for example. And
Mhm.
but he found that that was the thing that was the best thing for this particular individual that he was referencing at the time. And I just took a second to give him kudos for recognizing that even if there's a product that he doesn't personally love, when he recognized that that truly is the best thing for that individual given all of the circumstances, that he was willing to do that for her and with her. And, I don't think that that's something that everybody's willing to do. You mentioned, I think it was in today's episode, something about being more about serving the client than about, getting your own commission and stuff. And so I know that it can feel a little bit nerve-wracking to send somebody to some professional who is going to make a commission on something, because you're like, oh, is that what's going to drive their decisions? But if you do some good vetting, you can certainly see, what are they doing, what's in the best interest of the client, and finding out, are they willing to offer a product that they might not personally benefit from because they know that the other person would benefit from it. I think is actually a really solid question to ask and
hmm
to understand before sending somebody to someone.
hmm Absolutely. And much like how we had our conversation around vetting clients in our previous episode, it's also very important to vet these professionals as well, because it's super easy to, get excited about something and be like, oh, well, this is another person that could send me people, and just be like, yeah, like
Mhm.
we'll work some sort of referral thing out. It's super easy to do that. So you want to make sure that you are working with people that you know, that you like, that you trust, so that when you do send people over to them, that it's not going to backfire on you. So
Yeah.
just throwing that
Yeah,
out there.
of course. And I have just one more topic that I'd like to talk about if we can, and that is in our charging. The cost, if you will, for our services. How do we how do we relay the value of that to the financial advisor, to the real estate agent, to whomever? They're going to know that we'll send someone over to them. And then, that they want to know, how much is your services, so that I can let my people know. But I think it's important for us to be able to get almost give them a language around why that would be important for them, for their clients, to invest, $300 a month, or $1,500 for 3 months, or however your structured cost is. How do those people then say, well, I can see that you're not actually ready for all of this investing, but now I want you to invest this amount in this other person? I think it's a topic that probably doesn't get talked about enough. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that what's important for these people to understand is that maybe they're not ready to invest right now, in the sense of like into the stock market or something like that. Because if by making that investment, it's growing that one investment account, while the other stuff that is holding them back is just staying stationary, right? Or it could potentially get worse, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
with the investment for us, it's different, because we're not investing into a growth account, but what we are doing is we're investing into a way to clean up the things that are holding them back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a slingshot. So if you picture like a slingshot, like, you kind of pull that back a little bit, and it creates a little bit of tension. But then when you let go of like some of that fear, or that scarcity, or that anxiety, or whatever, it just like goes forward at like a super fast speed, like a kind of thing. And then you can actually hit that target that you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
get. And that's the way I see it, is like, you can make any type of investment that you want. Some of them are going to be beneficial for you 20 years down the road. Some of them are going to be beneficial to you now, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
difference.
Mhm. I also think that, I'm really glad I asked you that question, because I love the way that you answered it. I also think that the benefit is going to be compounded. So even though it might be beneficial right now, it will also be, you know, I think, exponentially beneficial 20
hmm
years from now, as compared to just a financial investment.
hmm
So
hmm
there's definitely that as well. Thank you for allowing me to ask you that question on the off the cuff. So let's talk about our own experiences real quick. And I mean, I've already given you some of mine, but overall, have you experienced that? That this has been beneficial for you, that it has not? What's been your overall take?
I send a lot of my clients to my network a
Okay.
lot. So like, I've
Hmm.
connected a lot of people with my financial advisor. I've connected a lot of people with my real estate agent. I've connected a lot of people with my tax person. Um, I do a really good job of doing that because it's what my clients need, right? And
Uh-huh.
I don't get
Mhm.
anything from it. Like, I don't get like a referral fee or anything like that. Now you can set it up like that if you'd like. But I personally don't. So I do a really good job with that. Unfortunately though, it's just not reciprocated the same on my end. I mean, I've been doing this for 5.5 years, and I don't even know how many people I've referred out. And of those last 5.5 years, I've gotten referrals, I think maybe 4 times, maybe.
Okay.
And of those 4 people, I've only brought on one of them as a new
Mm.
client, which actually happened to be like 2 months ago. So that was cool. But
Mhm.
before then, before 2 months ago, 5 years in,
Mhm.
nothing,
Mhm.
you know? And
Mhm.
to be completely honest with you, I just think that it's one of those things to where it's just a low priority for these people. And that's
Yeah.
nothing against them. It's nothing against them as people. And it doesn't mean that they're not good at what they do, because that's why, I send people over to them, is because like we have a good relationship. They do good work, but I just don't think that it's like top of mind for them. I
Mhm.
don't think that it's a priority for them. Why? I don't know. How to
Mm.
communicate that better? Not sure. Feel like I've
Mhm.
communicated that pretty well. Um,
Mhm.
but it's just one of those things where it's just like, I think that sometimes with human nature, people are just focused on what they're doing and they're not really thinking about that kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just my
I think
experience, you know?
yeah. And I think in all fairness though, if we're looking at percentages, the percentage of clients that you have that need to be at some point at working with you referred to a real estate agent, a financial advisor, an insurance agent, whomever we're talking about is pretty high
Yeah.
because it's, that's all it touches. We say that money touches everything. Like
Mhm.
what it's all part of it. The percentage of people who come to a financial advisor who need a financial coach might be significantly lower. And I
Right.
think that's because just because of the nature of what they do, there are many people who might need us first, but recognize that and don't even go to a financial advisor because they don't feel like they have any money to invest. So I do think that that might be part of it. And the other part of it might be, and this was where it's important for us to let people know what our value is. Um, it might be that once they're working with a financial advisor, they no longer need a budget coach.
Mhm.
What they actually need is more of that mindset coach, and I think because as an industry, we haven't done an amazing job of expressing what it is that we do, that the majority of financial coaches really kind of are understood to be, whether erroneously or not, simply budget coaches. And so if
Mhm.
there's somebody that a financial person has and they don't need a budget coach, we're not going to be somebody that they are sending people to. What they really, maybe they'll send them to a therapist or something like that, but they don't really need therapy either. They just need mindset work around money and their story and relationship with money. So I think that's another piece of it as well, Cody. I agree with you that it's probably not top of mind for them, but I also think that the funnel that they're working with is probably a little bit smaller percentage wise than the one that we are working with to
I would
reciprocate.
also agree. And as you were talking, something else came to mind too. And that's simply the fact that, like, depending on what our structures are as
Mhm.
coaches and like how often we meet with people, I would say that generally speaking, bare minimum, we're probably meeting with people once a month, if not more. Maybe once
Mhm.
every 2 weeks, once every week, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So we just have a
Mhm.
lot more touch points
Interaction.
with people,
Yeah. Yep.
and we're in the weeds with them a lot more. Whereas compared to like a financial advisor, a tax person, or a real estate person, maybe they're only touching base with these people once a year or
Mhm.
twice a year or once a
Yep.
quarter, or maybe even just one time. Like
Ever. Yep.
real estate people, like, we're buying this one house and then that's
Yep.
it, kind of thing,
Yep.
So I think that
Mhm.
just the touch points is also another thing to take into consideration as well. So
Yeah. I agree. Very, very good point. So that just reinforces the importance of when you have those opportunities, just kind of wrap all this up and bring it all together. When you're presented with the opportunity to express to somebody who's in the financial world what it is that you do and how you can provide value to them and to their clients, be ready for that. Be willing to jump on that opportunity and talk with people. Like, just let them get to know you, because as Cody said, people work and refer to those who they know, like, and trust. So this is your opportunity to be that person and recognize that you're not going to be maybe receiving a bunch of stuff from them. So I guess the other thing is know your value, kind of have that. I hate the idea of like the 30-second commercial, but at least have something ready to be able to express to somebody when the opportunity presents you. However, don't spend all of your time trying to go out and seek out all of these professionals so that that's where you think your business is going to come from, because our experience has been that that's not where a lot of the business comes from. So if you're doing that in order to avoid making phone calls to people and following up and having conversations with people, whether it's online or somewhere else, don't do that. Have the conversations with the people and prioritize that over, trying to go out and find a bunch of these leads somewhere else. That would just be my small piece of unsolicited advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, really good. Really good. Awesome. Good conversation. Good
Yeah,
conversation
I agree.
today. So, for all those here who have listened to all 31 minutes of this episode, we just want to say, hey, thanks. We appreciate you. Hopefully you had some fun. Hopefully you got some value from it. Again, if you did, leave a rating, leave a review, share the show, join our Facebook group, stay connected with us. As in a really good way to network is to connect with other financial coaches too. That's something else that I'll throw out there too, is even in our past couple episodes, I talked about how I kind of brought in the producer of the show for one of my clients. And I said, hey, like, what do you think? Right. So that could also be another thing too. So a really good place to start your networking journey would be with us. And you can, do that through our Facebook group, the Financial Coaches Community by New Money Habits. You can shoot us an email, whatever it might be. And then in that same spirit, we'll keep the ball rolling, reach out to these people, start those conversations, communicate that value. And hopefully we'll see some reciprocation for you guys. And you guys can get some clients and you can send your clients over to them and everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. So until next week, you guys just enjoy your week and we'll catch you next week for another episode of the Financial Coaches Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our hosts by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching.